Hey everyone, Eclecticism here. So today I want to go over a bit of a concept that's gone over a lot in survivalist, prepper, bushcraft communities, things of that sort. This concept is everyday carry. Now, everyday carry is the idea that, basically, you should carry on you what you need every day, which should be obvious to most people, you know? Everyone carries your wallet, your keys, your... Sometimes people might carry a knife on them for protection, some people carry pepper spray, things of that sort. But everyday carry is a community that takes that more to an extreme. It's more the idea that it should extend beyond that. Now, there's no right everyday carry, of course. That depends more or less on the person you are, you know? The everyday carry of someone who, say, works in finance, or someone who works in retail, or someone who does a lot of carpentry, construction work, things of that sort, will all be different from each other, you know? Someone who's out and about working in the field all day on a farm isn't exactly going to need a pencil and a notepad to jot down the stock market numbers, you know? But I want to go over mine today, more as an example of what everyday carry tends to be like, and in addition to that, just to kind of showcase mine, you know, add to the community and whatnot. So, I'm just going to go ahead and get started, and I'm going to start off with the wearable items in my everyday carry. So the first one is just a raggedy old bandana. Bandana, honestly, are kind of my favorite part of an everyday carry, and one of them that you don't see a lot online. Most people carry a handkerchief, but I don't see bandanas at all, and I don't get why. Bandanas are beyond the fact that they make a wearable fashion item, you know? You can do a lot with them. You know, you could, of course, cover your face with it, use it during COVID times, which, you know, beyond the fact that it isn't good for usage as a mask, still, nonetheless, it can function as one of an emergency situation. You can use it to cover your head if it's hot, help shield yourself from the heat a little bit. You can do a lot of things with it. I primarily use mine as just a rag. So, you know, if I spill something and I don't have any paper towels or something on me, whip this out, wipe it up, put this on the side somewhere, then put it through the wash, good to go. They have a ton of uses, but even beyond that too, you can use them as a fire starter. You can light them on fire if you're ever in an emergency situation, and you'll have a nice piece of kindling to start off your fire. You can also use them for medical uses too, cover wounds, things like that. But beyond that, I just really like them. I think they're a pretty neat fashion piece. Next up is my watch. Now, most people, when they get a watch, they will try to get a fancier one, a higher end one. This right here, if the camera would focus, it's not focusing. This right here, though, is an Armitron. I don't know the specific model. It's a $20 Walmart watch. It's nothing fancy. Has a LED light, you know, backlight on it. It's got adjustable times, different settings on it. You can set a timer on it. Has a lot of basic things, but I just use it, you know, quick means to tell the time. It's a durable thing, too. That's why I got it. You know, the strap, reliable. Haven't had any issues with it, and I've had this thing for a few months now. I beat this thing up a lot, you know. Just the other day, I was out doing some digging to repair some pipes underneath my house. And this thing went through all that. Don't know if you can see on the camera, but it's got a little crack on it, actually. It's got some dirt in parts that I can't get with a cotton swab or paper towels. I'm thinking of getting something, you know, better to clean it out with, but this thing's a very good beater. Cheap, too. Only 20 bucks I got it for. And honestly, it served me pretty well. Most people, when they get a watch, they'll try to get something either fancier, nicer, and that works for them. You know, good for them. But for me, I want something that's durable. I want something that's cheap and expendable, because I don't want to spend too much on it, because I just use it as a means to tell the time. And this thing does that. Next up are my Paracord Bracelets, 550 Paracord. Paracord, always good to have on you. Always. You never know when you're in a situation you might need a little bit of cordage to tie things together, especially in a survival situation. Paracord is great for building shelters. It's great for tying things together, means to kind of help keep your gear better organized. And basically, anything you can think of that you might need some rope or cordage for, this is good for. And I figure, what a better way to carry it on you instead of having a spool in your pocket? A couple little bracelets. Now this one right here, I made this one. It's about a foot of paracord. It's nothing fancy, just a little thing to slap onto the wrist. This one right here, I got from a buddy of mine at the flea market. He primarily sells knives and things like that, but he gave me this for free. Just as a, thank you for going there so much. And I mean, it's nothing too fancy. I don't know how to make something like this myself. I don't have the resources or skills to, so I appreciate having this. And honestly, it served me real well. It's a nice little bit of paracord. I think it's about 20-30 feet. Not 100% sure on that though. But always good to have as another backup in addition to my 1 foot. So outside of the wearable items, I'll go into next the sheaths. Just as a quick little thing. Now I carry 2 generic Ozark Trail sheaths on me. What I put in both of them shall remain to be seen. But these, nothing special. Belt clips, both of them. They clip on, tighten them on, just like that. Nothing too fancy. But what I put on them, the reason why I put them on, they are fantastic for extra pocket space. I like to keep a lot in my pockets, and I run out of space a lot, especially in pants that don't got any, bulkier pockets, things like that. So these always come in handy because I always need a belt on me. So as for what I put in them, I'm going to go next into one of my favorite parts of my EDC, the knives and the multi-tool. Now I carry 2 knives on me. Most of the time it's Spyderco. Sometimes I switch them up. But first, the main one I always carry on me, my Delica 4. This thing's a little bit beat up. Missing a screw on the, the hinge there. Not on the hinge, the clip there. It's, got a little bit of wear and tear to it. Nothing that makes it unusable. But, I gotta do some replacements on it eventually. But this thing, I like to keep it as a pretty good beater or work knife. Always served me well. Never knowing I'll need to use something more heavier, and I think this has always served me pretty well. I do keep some more generic knives on me in my car and things like that in case I need something that I don't want to damage the steel on this for. But for the most part, this does the job very well. This is my Spyderco Stretch. I keep this on me as a self-defense one because the best thing to do for a self-defense pocket knife is to subtract 2 inches from the blade length. Now the Delica 4 right here, it's about a 3.5 inch blade. You subtract 2, you only got about 1.5 inches. So that's only about 1.5 inches that you'll be using for slicing or stabbing. The reason why you want to subtract 2 inches is because when you're holding it and you want to, attack someone who's going at you, you aren't going to be getting them the full length of the blade. You're not. You're not going to be going down there trying to get it deep in there, trying to slice that far. You're not. You're going to probably be using the upper half of it because you want to keep a safe distance. So that's why you want to subtract 2 inches. And doing that, you only have about 1.5 inches on this. But the Spyderco Stretch here, if I recall, this is about 4.5 inches. So that'll be 2.5 inches of usable blade for self-defense, for slicing or cutting. Of course, there's bigger knives out there. Cold Steel has some that I'm interested in, but I can't afford them right now. And the Stretch, I got this at a flea market, and this thing has served me real well. Fortunately, I haven't had to use it yet, but I appreciate having it on me, and just the security of knowing that I've got something that can be used pretty decently. It's enough. Next up is the multi-tool. I have another multi-tool as well, but I'll get into those, well, 2 multi-tools. I'll get into those in a bit, though. But my primary one is the Gerber Suspension NXT, the latest model of the Gerber Suspension. I really like this thing. Its primary piece is the pliers, of course. And on the side, you don't actually have anything in the internal parts right there. You actually use the additional bits externally. It's got a Phillips head, of course. It has an awl, in case you want to do a little bit of leather work. If I can get this part out. It has a nail file, if you can see that, flathead, and a small 2-inch ruler, which all in one. It's got a pretty good locking mechanism. It's a little bit hard to get loose at first when you get it out of the packaging, but when you get that, it's loose enough and keeps things really secure, so you never got to worry about, say, the locking issues that come with, say, a Swiss Army knife, or any of those sorts of locks, like the slip joints and whatnot. So these always work well. But on the other side, you got a nice little couple-inch knife, about 2 inches, serrated edge, of course. It's not too sharp coming out of the box. I do gotta sharpen it a little bit, but for a multi-tool knife, it's really not bad. Right here, you have another flathead, as you can see, that simultaneously also, if you can see that right there, this, I actually am not sure what it can serve as. I lost the material for it, but I believe you can use this as a little bit of assistance with sewing, or alternatively, maybe it's a wire cutter. I'm not 100% sure there. I've never had to use it, as you can tell. Right here, you have a little bottle opener, a little can opener, and an even smaller flathead on the tip there. And this is another big reason I got it, are the, if it'll undo, the scissors. These are very good. I've used them to cut through paper, cardboard, things like that, and it's done them better than some regular scissors I have. You know, ones you keep in drawers and whatnot. So I really like these, and they're very compact, easy to put away. All in all, really nice thing, especially for only 30 bucks. This thing has served me well, and I'm expecting it to go a long while. So, beyond the main items, I normally also carry a big lighter on me. I've misplaced it, unfortunately. Been meaning to get a new one, haven't gotten around to it. But those are always good as a fire starter, things of that sort too. But I also carry some Burt's Bees chapstick on me. Reason why I carry Burt's Bees chapstick, beyond of course standard use for chapstick, you know, fixing chapped lips, fixing chapped lips and whatnot. This can make for some very good fire starter kindling. The reason why is because this is made out of beeswax. Now, most standard chapsticks are made out of petroleum jelly, which is a highly flammable source as long as you can put a wick in it, or something that'll help it, you know, if you rub it on, say, cotton, like the bandana over here, it'll extend the fire and make it last for longer. But this also has beeswax in it, and beeswax is likewise extremely flammable. So if I were to, say, put a little wick in the top right here, if I can get it out a bit, if I were to put a wick in the top right there, that would let me have a nice little candle, a nice little fire to go. Alternatively, I can put it on the bandana over there, and I'll have a nice little fire extender, so that way I have more time to build a proper fire. So it's very useful to have. And I could also use a paracord as the wick, for instance, because paracord is flammable. So it's another little compact use. Right here is my flashlight, my Sofrin SC 31 Pro. This thing only cost me around 30 bucks, but it goes up to 2,000 lumens. I don't have it on that setting right now, and that's to refrain from any issues with the camera lighting, of course. But this thing can go up to 2,000 lumens. Has several adjustable modes as well. As can be seen, you hold it in to turn it up, and then you hold it in to turn it down as well, and it'll just cycle through everything. It goes from about 5 lumens up to 2,000, depending on which mode you use. So beyond the lumen capacity on this thing, it also is rechargeable. So it takes your standard batteries that go into a flashlight of this source, comes into a compartment in the bottom here, but it's also rechargeable from this port right here. If I can take this strap off of it. Right here, got a recharging port for the batteries, so you don't need to replace them, which I really like, because, of course, that saves a lot of money down the line. But considering how often I really use a flashlight, you know, they often say, you know, in the EDC community, they often say that you never know when you need a flashlight till you have one, and this thing gets used on the daily. And you never, I really can't say all the situations that I need it for. It's because it's, you know, looking through a drawer to find something. You're in a room that you don't want to turn the light on to save electricity. You're outside, you know, going for a walk. You want to be able to see something that goes by. There's so many uses I've had for this thing. I've used it almost daily. Right here, something a little bit standard is an Altoids mint container. You know, it's still full, peppermint flavor. The reason why I'm carrying this, actually, is because I want to make an Altoids Survival Tin. It's basically a trend online where people try to fit a little survival kit inside an Altoids tin. And it's just a fun little thing to do, of course. It's trying to see how much you can fit in something so small. But what I want to do is, of course, do something like that myself. And I, of course, plan to post it on this channel when I do. But I want to use all the mints in this first, so that way I don't go to waste. And, you know, mints are always useful to have. Normally I carry Tic Tacs on me. But I figured now is about the time to get something like this, so I can use the mints up, clean out the tin, and then maybe get something like that going, so I have that part of my EDC. Of course, I should also say I do carry N95 masks on me, but I'm not going to show those because they're all thrown away, because, you know, I don't reuse them that much, or at all, because they're not designed for that. But I also carry a notebook and a pen. So starting off with the pen, this isn't anything special. It's the PaperMate Profile. It's a cheap little pen. I got a large packet of these for about $3, but this thing is surprisingly good for an EDC pen. Now, I find myself losing my pens a lot, so I don't really find a need for a more expensive pen, like say a Fisher Space Pen or a Paca or anything of that sort. But something like this, it's a cheap little pen. It's extremely comfortable to write with. Fits my hand really nicely, and in addition, it has a nice little pocket clip. These last for a while as well. I've probably had this specific one for a good 2 months now, about near daily usage, and I haven't had a need to replace it. So, seeing as I bought about $3 for a pack of 12, these things will last me for a while. I also used to carry, actually, incidentally, the Zebra F301, and that pen I also highly recommend, considering it's cheap. You can find it in Walmart, you know, but the pocket clip on that, atrocious. I'm not gonna lie, I rely on the pocket clips a lot. I lost half of my F301s just, you know, going to work day to day, and haven't been able to find them. But, regardless, recommend these things. Next is just a standard little notebook right here. Nothing special. A lot of people carry field notes on them, which is it's a specific brand of notebook. You can find people online mostly getting it for the looks. There's nothing too special about it beyond a little bit of waterproofing, but I never find a need for it. You know, I'm satisfied with these cheap little dollar notebooks you can get from Walmart and they fit in your pocket. Does a job for me. I've used this thing for a couple months now, haven't filled it up yet. All in all, pretty good notebook. Now next, I want to show off real quick what's on my keychain, because I carry a few things on here. First, for a backup flashlight, this dollar store flashlight right here. Nothing special. It's a keychain flashlight, you know. Has a bottle opener on it too. I never find a need for that. Issue with it, this top part right here, don't know if you can see on the camera, but it broke. This was supposed to be for the keychain holder, not very durable. So the keychain for the bottle opener. Carry it on me. I find myself using this a lot too. This, I've actually done a little bit of work with this too, fixing plumbing, doing some repairs at work, things like that. And this thing, when I didn't have my flashlight on me or it needed recharge, this thing served as a real good backup. Over here is my Wegner LL Bean. Now, Wegner is a little bit of a lesser known Swiss Army knife brand. Normally people go for Victorinox, but Wegner makes some high quality Swiss Army knives. Actually, fun tidbit, Victorinox bought Wegner because of the quality of their knives, because they're considered essentially the only real rival to Victorinox for Swiss Army knives. So this thing, it's got a little pair of scissors. I never found myself using these. They're not very good, but it's nice to have a backup. Little knife, good little backup, and behind it, just a nail file and a little pick right there. A little thing that you can use as a toothpick, something to get small little debris at items, things like that. Nice to have as a backup. I recommend this model. I actually got it $5, which is why I carry it on me. Most Victorinox knives, something like this, you'd be getting for 20-something bucks. No, $5 I found this. Got it secondhand, of course, but still. Beyond for my keys over here. Because I don't really find the need for a key bar or anything like that. I like to have my keychain as a thing to keep a lot of utility things on. And I prefer the look of a keychain too to a key bar, and I don't see the organization on those really helping me much, because all the items I like to fit and all the keys I like to have together, I just don't see those really helping me organizing. I'm less of a minimalist with my EDC and more of a let's see how much I can fit and how little sort of deal. But anyway, right here's my Gerber Shard. This thing comes with a little flat Phillips head right there. It has a small bottle opener, and it has a pry bar. I got this thing primarily for the pry bar. It covers the grounds that the other Multitools doesn't, because of course this is one of my backup Multitools along with the Wegner Swiss Army knife. And of course this covers the ground that the Gerber Suspension NXT fails to. So, find the pry bar in this to be extremely useful. Always had a use for it. And finally, the last part of my EDC that I want to talk about is my wallet. Now, of course, I have the standard things you have in a wallet. This is just a basic trifold I got at Walmart. But what I really want to show is what's inside of it. Now, obviously, I won't show everything in it, because it's all just cards and some generic things like that. But I'll show the EDC relevant items real quick, if I can get them out. Alright. Now, first, I carry alcohol prep pads and band-aids. I'm out of band-aids, I mean to go to the store and grab them, but normally I carry just, some prep pads, band-aids in case there's, small injury, anything like that. Always good to have. I also keep that in my phone case, which the phone here, I'll go over that a little bit too, which I'm using to record, so I can't show it on camera, unfortunately. But I'll show that fine, after the wallet. But in addition to the prep pads, I got this right here, which is my 4th backup multi-tool, because I'm a big believer in redundancies in EDC kits, and in general, anyone's everyday carry, because, at least in my experience, I find that when one item will often end up failing, because maybe I'll misplace it, maybe I'll end up just breaking it, something bad will happen to it. Always good to have a backup when you need it. But this, it's just a $1 multi-tool card. Nothing too special. You got a small saw on it right here. You have a small knife right here it's supposed to be, both of which are not sharp at all. Flathead right there, got a little ruler. You have a few wrenches, a few screwdrivers on it, a bottle opener of course, a keychain slot, but apologies about that sudden jump cut. My phone decided to be a fantastic idea to suddenly do an update, so of course I canceled the video. But as I was saying about the card multi-tool, which I will pull out again right here, this isn't a particularly special thing beyond, the fact that it's a backup. It's made of a cheap steel. Not too sure which one it is. I suspect 420 stainless. But, I mean, surprisingly durable. Doesn't flex at all. You don't have any performance issues with it. And when I did have to use this thing in the past, it served well. But for $1, you can't really get much better for the price. I mean, there of course are some better ones out there. Wallet Ninja is a good one I hear. But for now, as a standard backup to my backup to my backup, this thing does its purpose. Now lastly, is my survival guide, specifically about wayfinding. I plan on getting more in the series to kind of switch out my wallet if I'm trying to learn more about a given subject. But this is my starter one. It is a wayfinding reference guide for if you're ever lost in the woods and you need a map and a compass. Well, provided you have a map and a compass, you can get out using this card. It provides a bunch of information on, orienting compass of the map, navigating around an obstacle, things like that. That'll basically help you, if you're ever lost in the woods, you need to get out. So help you, teach you everything you need to know. A lot of useful information in there, good to have on you as a backup. Now, beyond everything in my pockets is my phone. So my phone is a Samsung Galaxy S10. It's a solid thing, It does a job well. Very good beater. Takes a lot of hits. Survives really well. It uses an OtterBox case that I specifically chose because OtterBox is known to be very good for durability and performance. And I have had so much luck with it so far. I have dropped this thing more times than I can count. And the case has just proven time and time again to be durable. It is going a little bit, but I've had this thing for months now. And the amount of times I've dropped it, that will do it. It'll damage it a lot. But this case, doing me wonders. I also have a pop socket on it. There are these little additions you put on the ends of phones that will allow you to hold it more easily, prop it up as it's being done now. And I just found it to be pretty useful. There's also a few survival guides on my phone downloaded as well. Maybe sometime in the future when I get my own camera that isn't just a phone, I'll be able to use that. But with that said, that covers everything in my EDC currently, as of April 2021. So I hope this was at least informative for you all, taught something, at least interesting to see what someone else's EDC is. That said, have a good one, everyone.